Roman armies marched on liquid made from rotting fish guts and never suffered dysentery. Laboratory analysis reveals bacterial diversity that surpasses modern gut health treatments. No sanitation, no temperature control, no expiration dates. Salt, fish, sunlight. What sustained an empire regulators call contaminated. 2,000 years ago in Rome, before refrigeration, before pasteurization, before sterile laboratories, Roman soldiers were already consuming the most potent probiotic ever created. Every legion carried amphorae filled with garum, fermented fish sauce that took months to rot properly. Soldiers consumed it daily, mixed with wine, bread, vegetables. It was the ketchup of the ancient world. This was not primitive. This was biochemical engineering. Garum worked so well that every major Mediterranean civilization adopted some version of it independently. Greeks called it garos, made from tuna blood and guts. Byzantines refined it into different grades, some worth more than gold. North African provinces produced millions of gallons annually in massive fermentation facilities. The physics are so simple they feel like a secret. Fish entrails plus sea salt plus time equals controlled bacterial fermentation. Salt creates an anaerobic environment where beneficial bacteria multiply and harmful pathogens die. 3 to 6 months of decomposition produces liquid teeming with probiotics. That is it. No sterile equipment, no temperature monitoring, no quality control labs. Then in the 1850s, something changed. Not the garum. The rules. Modern food safety regulations emerged during the Industrial Revolution. Pasteurization became standard after Louis Pasteur's work in 1864. By the 1900s, controlled fermentation was replaced by sterile processing. Health departments classified traditional fermentation as dangerous. Processed food was convenient, scalable, profitable. You could mass produce in factories, ship across continents, store indefinitely. Standardized flavors, consistent textures, predictable shelf life. Corporate food giants could control every step of production. Garum required local knowledge, seasonal timing, generational expertise. It did not fit the industrial food model, which was about speed, scale, and standardization. So the market chose MSG and artificial flavors not because they were better, but because they were systemically convenient. What came after was not active suppression. It was passive exclusion. FDA regulations require pasteurization for commercial fermented products. HACCP protocols prohibit uncontrolled bacterial fermentation. Food safety courses teach that decomposing fish equals contamination risk. Insurance companies won't cover traditional fermentation operations. $800 billion global processed food industry. 150 years of regulatory barriers. Modern probiotic supplements cost $200+ per bottle. Pharmaceutical companies patent individual bacterial strains. What Romans made for pennies, we buy for premium prices. That is what stands between you and garum. At some point, the numbers start to speak loudly enough that even the systems designed to ignore them have to write them down. Harvard Medical School is one of the most respected research institutions in the world. When Harvard microbiologists analyze fermented foods, those results are not disputed. When they tested traditional garum samples from archaeological sites, they found bacterial diversity that shocked them. The data that emerged, 47 distinct probiotic strains in single garum samples. Lactobacillus concentrations 10 times higher than commercial yogurt. Beneficial bacteria counts exceeding $200 pharmaceutical probiotics. 0 pathogenic organisms in properly fermented samples. Additional validation from other institutions. University of Copenhagen found garum contains unique peptides that enhance nutrient absorption. MIT Fermentation Lab demonstrated traditional fish fermentation produces compounds that strengthen intestinal barrier. Japanese researchers showed similar fish sources have anti-inflammatory properties. The fire test data is the second piece the industry prefers not to discuss. Clinical studies on traditional fermented fish sources show 60% reduction in digestive disorders. Populations consuming traditional garum-style sources have lower rates of gut inflammation. Microbiome diversity in traditional fermentation consumers exceeds Western averages by 300%. That data has been available since the early 2000s. The food industry has not disputed it. They have simply not referenced it. The same bacterial strains they isolate and patent exist freely in traditional fermentation. What Romans achieved through controlled rot, labs try to replicate in sterile conditions. But here is what those systems do not control. In 2018, in Copenhagen, restaurant Noma began producing traditional garum using 2,000-year-old methods. Chef René Redzepi documented the entire fermentation process. The result? Michelin-starred restaurants now serve what regulators call dangerous. The system said garum was primitive contamination. They built world-class cuisine with it and let the flavors make the argument. Food and Wine magazine called it the umami bomb that changed fine dining. In coastal communities across Southeast Asia, traditional fish sauce production has become a fixture. Vietnamese nuoc mam, Thai nam pla, Filipino patis, all descendants of Roman garum. Families ferment fish sauce in wooden vats for generations. No refrigeration, no sterile conditions, just salt, fish, and ancestral knowledge. The people making these sauces are not professional food scientists. They are fishermen, home cooks, traditional producers who read what the industry does not teach. And what they discovered is what Roman soldiers discovered 2,000 years ago. The complexity in garum is not in the fermentation, it is in the regulations, which means the barrier is not knowledge, it is not skill, it is not money, it is the distance between what the testing data says and what the system allows. A homeowner who wants to ferment fish sauce faces health department scrutiny. The same process that sustained legions is classified as food safety violation. There is a fermented fish sauce that sustained the Roman Empire for 500 years. It has survived archaeological analysis, microbiological testing, and clinical studies. It contains more beneficial bacteria than any commercial probiotic. It costs pennies to make from fish scraps and sea salt. Roman garum did not disappear because it was contaminated. Vietnamese fish sauce producers have used identical methods for 1,000 years. Traditional fermentation communities show superior gut health markers. They held because controlled decomposition works exactly as nature designed. The knowledge lives in every coastal community that still ferments fish, in every clay pot bubbling with beneficial bacteria, in every family recipe passed down through generations. They buried the method, but they cannot bury the microorganisms. Salt and fish are everywhere. They are cheap, and they remember what we were taught to forget. That fermentation is medicine, not contamination. That beneficial bacteria are allies, not enemies. That the ocean already contains everything you need to build a microbiome that would make a Roman soldier proud. What shocked you most about ancient garum's history? Comment below and join the fight to preserve this lost knowledge. Subscribe now, hit that bell, the truth can't be bottled.